Hello, and welcome back to the Sinead Says podcast. This week, I'm doing a solo episode because, to be honest, I was going to do a podcast on like another emotion, jealousy, but then I'm not even joking. I feel like the universe needed me to do this podcast about manifesting. Like, I just finished The Seed of the Soul. I listened to a few podcasts with the author, and it was just like I was directed to do this podcast, and I wasn't actually gonna do this podcast alone. I really wanted someone else to come on with me because I felt unconfident on how to describe manifesting. But I was like, Sinead, you've literally manifested everything in your entire life and you can do it so quickly now, so like why don't you just share how it goes? So I didn't plan this podcast, but universe just wanted me to do it. So here I am talking about manifesting. First, a little word from our sponsors. So the sponsor of this podcast is BetterHelp, which is an online counselling forum. I personally am on it myself the last few weeks, and I'm really enjoying it. So you can do video calls, you can do just text messages, like say if you've got a certain problem, you can just send in the messenger, because it's an app as well, and it's really handy to use. Once you get your therapist, I got mine within 24 hours, and then she sent me like all her times where I can talk to her, and they can just work around you. And yeah, and I've seen loads of good reviews on it already. There's like a Facebook, I don't know, came up and I just looked at everyone's transformations of how they got to where they are because of like BetterHelp or counselling. And the thing about BetterHelp is that it's really affordable compared to like person to person. So yeah, you can check it out and you can get 10% off your first month with betterhelp.com/Sinead. That is betterhelp.com/Sinead. So a few people asked me in the question box, like, what is manifesting? So basically manifesting is just creating your own reality with your thoughts by aligning your thoughts to good intent. I'll describe it more in the podcast, but it's basically like you create your own reality with your thoughts and how you react and your actions and your responsible choice. So yeah, that's just like a definition of it, but we'll see if I can explain it. I hope that I can explain it for you. First of all, I want you to know that everyone has their own way of doing it. There's one way of doing it, but like there's so many different, I don't know, it's really hard to describe, like whether you're really spiritual or you believe in like how the brain works. You can use it either way. You don't have to be entirely spiritual to understand manifesting, because like say Siobhan would understand manifesting and the power of the brain, whilst I see it in a more spiritual way. But it doesn't matter which way you see it. I like to see it in a spiritual way. I love the way like my mind works, and I love the way that I have this faith, and like I just feel like sometimes we are missing faith in our generation. Like we're missing this let go to the universe. We are just left to our own devices. Like for example, when we were younger, like our grannies and granddads, like what did they do when someone was sick? Like they prayed. They got down on their they got down on their knees and they prayed. They let God take over. I'm not saying like you have to believe in God or you have to believe in anything. Like this is totally open. But like they got down and they surrendered to what the higher power and says, please can you, my daughter is sick, please can you do this? And they let that go. Instead of, and like our generation, we just sit there and we just like ooze in our own anxiety because we just don't have a higher power to talk to. We don't pray. And I just feel like we're missing that faith. And I'm not saying like you have to believe in God or anything. Like I personally call it the universe, or I call it source. Sometimes I read that it's called God. Totally up to you. It's just like to know that there's like a higher energy source out there that we surrender to. And I just feel like we're missing that in our generation. I feel like our generation is such high anxiety because we just don't have something to surrender to or give us guidance. Whilst back in grannies and grandads generation, they sort of like surrendered all their, like whatever was happening to God, like please help me, and they prayed. And I just feel like we're missing that in a way. So yeah, it doesn't really matter what you call it or how you go about it, but I'm just going to describe to you how I manifested the things that I manifested. And this is just sort of like my opinion and like, you know, my beliefs. So you don't have to take my beliefs to be true. You can take it with a pinch of salt, or you can go and do the research. Like Joe Dispenza talks about it in terms of like brain and science and stuff like that.
but this is just the way I describe it.
So like any first time manifester, I began with The Secret. It was my first, I can't even really remember. I remember somebody giving it to me in Liverpool, and I read it in Liverpool, but I was quite a positive person at this point. Like nothing really tragic or traumatic had happened to me at this point. I was quite positive, but I started learning that way. So read The Secret, and it's a good way to get into it. It's so funny because my dad is sort of getting into it these days, so I'm like going to send him The Secret because it's not as complicated as sending him the next book up, which is Asking It Is Given, and it's like so spiritual, it just might put people off. So so I started with The Secret and kind of started just manifesting, but I don't think The Secret gives you the proper manifesting tools. Like it just tells you like you can actually get what you want, and that's the first step, actually knowing that you can create whatever you want. And that belief is what the first thing you need to realize. Like that's why The Secret was good, because it gave me that belief. It was like, okay, here's all these stories about all these people that like literally just created their own reality through their thoughts. So the actual physical proof was there, so it made me start believing. And that's why I feel like I can be a guide as well, because I am physical proof of manifesting, and I'm physical proof that like you can create your own life with your own thoughts. So yeah, that was a good book to start with. And then I went on to Asking It Is Given. So Asking It Is Given is very spiritual. It's and you know what, it was one of the first books I read, so I couldn't really, basically I just lived by it. I was like, I'm just going to live by it and see what happens. Like it's not a cult. They're not telling you to do anything. They're not telling you any money. They literally just want to tell you a nice, beautiful way to live. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do everything that it says in this book. So you do your visualization, you do your meditations. I wasn't actually meditating at this time, that's a lie. I wasn't that far gone into it yet. But I started visualizing, and I started asking the universe for what I wanted. And this was the first time that I ever started to become self-aware of my thoughts and of what I was asking for. Now, step one of manifesting is being clear about what you want. And that's the problem with most people. They literally don't know what they want. And even if they knew what they wanted, they're too scared to say it out loud. And that's where my campaign Say Your Goals Out Loud, because there were so many things that I like would want, but I would never say out loud, because I don't know, it just wasn't a thing to really strive for bigger goals. So I had to do a lot of meditations, I had to do a lot of reading, and like really start to figure out what it was that I wanted before I could actually start manifesting, because that's just step one, to get clear. And once you have done step one, you can then move on to ask. So you're asking the universe then. Now, this is where the complicated bit comes in, because people think you can just visualize and when then it happens. No. It does not work like that, because people visualize and they're like, oh, it doesn't work. And I'm like, do you truly believe that, say they're manifesting $1 million? What am I going on? Like dollars? I'm listening to an American podcast. £1 million. And they say, oh, well, I manifested like my dream house, or £1 million. Oh, it doesn't work. I'm like, do you actually believe? Do you have the self-belief? Do you believe that you deserve that? And I'm not even joking. Like, even when I say to me, you deserve that. I'm like, does your body reject that? So my body was rejecting things that I was manifesting. Like, I deserve this. Like, I manifested some things that I really believed that I could get. Like, I was asking for my purpose. I'll just talk about my experiences in manifesting. So I was asking about my purpose. I was like, I want my purpose. I want my purpose. So I asked the universe, and then you have to wait to receive, and then you have to align. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so this is just like a random example. It was like the first kind of one I realized that I was like, oh, so I've manifesting my purpose. And I'm telling you now, whatever you ask the universe for, it delivers. But it delivers in a way that you have to look for, in intuition, in signs, in your emotions. Like, your emotions start to raise whenever you've asked the universe for something. Then you have to be directed by these emotions. So the first time I ever asked for purpose, I was also visualizing like my dream life with my perfect boyfriend at the time. Like, this is what I wanted. But the universe was delivering in a way I was rejecting. So it depends if you're rejecting or accepting the universe. So first you have to ask, then you have to align, and then you have to receive. But this is just the first time, and then I'll tell you a bit more. But So as you probably know, what my purpose is. My purpose is sort of like helping people deal with like anxiety, tools of heartbreak, stuff like that. So I was also visualizing this life with my partner, which wasn't actually my purpose. The universe is going to deliver. So the universe was delivering me signs, Snapchats, random messages, and I just denied them all. I listened, I believed what he said. Actually, I was just in denial. Obviously, I knew what was in these messages from other girls. So there's the universe delivering it. Like, what are the odds that, you know, I look at his phone and there's a Snapchat of the room number that they were in, you know, like, what are the chances of that? And I just, like, he just deleted it and I just believed him. He was like, no, it's me. Right. So there's the universe. Knock, knock, knock. You know, you need to be alone, but you are not accepting. So then I sit in my, oh my God, nothing is working. But in fact, what would happen at the end was I got the worst heartbreak of all. Like, I had to like sit there and really, really deal with the heartbreak because I didn't accept what the universe was giving me. And then it came to the stage where obviously he cheated and I had no choice. There was like, it was against my boundaries to just have that in black and white. I was just like, no, I can't do that. Then I ended up traveling alone. As you may know, I traveled alone because I chose not to have him there. I was like, no, you're not coming if this is what you did to me. And we broke up. Now, little did I know that the universe was actually putting into place my manifestation of purpose. What is my purpose? My purpose is helping people through heartbreak and understanding self-love and understand that you need to love yourself. So I went through that really, really dark time in order to come out the other end with my purpose. So that was just the smallest little thing, but there's so much more to it. Because people just think, right, you just visualize and then that's it. But then you have to, first of all, believe that you deserve it. Like, let me just talk about a manifestation of mine. So I seen this house in Bali and I was like, that is the house I've been manifesting. I love it so much. Looked at the price. So basically you have to pay outright here, right? Outright for a full house. Okay. So I'm like, that's my house. Like, I know that's my house.
And it wasn't about like the materialistic house. Like, I looked at that house. It's not like a big house. It just looked like my space where I could create. I could just imagine myself there, like painting and just meditating and just having friends over. And it just felt like, I just looked at it and was like, that just looks like my peace.
So I was like, right, I'm just going to manifest this house. But the fact is, right, I can visualize myself in this house, but do I believe I truly deserve it? And how am I going to get there? So I was like, right, I need to first of all work on my success and my self-belief. So there I've manifested it, right? Then all these emotions come up. I'm also in therapy as well. So I'm working on my self-belief in therapy. So this is, let me think now. So anyway, so this house is here. And now I have to look out for the signs. Like, I'm looking at my bank balance and I'm thinking, there's not a fucking chance. There's no way. But at the same time, I had the belief that it was going to happen. So I was like, right, grand. Manifest that. Right. About 3 days later, I am in the garage. I'm never in the garage. The radio was on. When have I ever listened to the radio? Never. And on that radio, it was we're still in the middle of the pandemic, but it was pandemic. And it was the time we were in full quarantine and people were saying, oh, I hate my husband. I can't wait till this is over. I'm going to divorce him. Oh, I can't stand my sister. Like, basically people not getting on in their relationships. And I was sitting there going, I'm sitting on some really, really good information that could not only help, could not only prevent the breakups, but it could help them grow and evolve. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm in the freaking garage. I'm never in the garage. This is coming up. Okay, this must be a sign that I need to put my research onto paper. So I'm like, okay, I can help these people with relationships. But at the same time, guys, I could have not taken that thought. I could have rejected that sign from the universe. And I could have just went on. And then I would have never got the house. Or I never would have got the money. Or I never would have wrote the book. So then I'd be like, oh, nothing's ever working for me. But in fact, I was listening out for the signs that I had to do this thing. So I sat down and I was like, right, I'm going to write this book. And I'm not even joking, guys. Like, writing a book? Are you serious? Like, I got a D in English. I can't even do full stops, but whatever. So I was like, I'm just going to write it, see what happens. And I honestly wrote it in flow. I wrote it in 3 weeks. Although, like, it's obviously my life research of books and courses that I did. So it was just like, yeah, it just came flowing out of me. And yeah, so I was like, then I had to work on the self-belief of like even putting money to it, because I was like, I'm just going to give this for free. So I'm sitting in therapy and she's like, why do you not think you deserve, this is your life's work. Like, you have done this and you've came this far. You know this so much about relationships. Why do you not want to price this? Why do you not want to put a price on this book? And I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I think people should have it for free. So I'm now working on my self-belief, because I can't manifest it unless I believe it can come true. So I'm sitting in therapy and she's just like, now we have to go through all the things that is embedded in us through beliefs to uncover them and just make new beliefs. So here's what it is when it comes to, I did this whole thing as well when I was doing my retreats. Like, I just didn't want to price it as well. I just really wanted it low price so people could just come. And my therapist had to do the whole thing again. She's like, why don't you believe you should have success? First of all, the beliefs that I have about success. Now, the people around me when I was growing up, if the people around me growing up, when they've seen a person with money or success, say someone's on a Range Rover, like, I'm not saying who the adult is, but this is what I get. Oh, who does she think she is? Oh, she loves herself. Oh, dose of shite. Oh, thinks she is something. That is the belief that I grew up with, that successful people, like, that's the way they're treated in society, when it's fact not true, because every single person wants to be a successful human. So in fact, those things that are arising in these adults that were around me is actually jealousy. And when you have jealousy, it's a time to heal. So you could look back at your jealousy and you could think, why am I feeling like that? It's because it's something that I've always desired. It's as simple as that. That's as simple as what is going on. So there's the beliefs around jealousy. There's the beliefs about success. I also lived a life, like, I also worked for rich and famous all my entire life. So I kind of knew what kind of people they were, in terms of they used their, like, it was like I watched people be unhappy even though they had loads of money. So then I had this belief that, like, you're a bit of a dick. So I had that belief embedded in me. Then I also had my beliefs of, so this is where the shadow work comes in, guys, by the way. Like, everyone thinks they can just visualize, but, like, you need to do shadow work on your self-belief before you can manifest it. So the next thing I had to go through in therapy was, who told you that you can't be successful or you can't amount? So I had to do inner child work. I had to understand who these people are. So a few people, teachers. I've had 2 teachers in my life tell me I'm not going to amount to stuff. And that they predicted me these really bad grades, whenever my personality type actually is that I'm a crammer and that I do all my work in like 3 days. That's how I work. That's how my creative drive works. And that's not how they taught me in school. They taught me, like, you need to, if you're not doing your homework, you're obviously not going to get the grade. Although I always got the grade. I was always getting the grades, but yet my organization and the way I showed up in class was just different to other people. So I had this belief from these teachers that I was never going to be successful because I didn't do it the way they did it. So then I had to sit there and be like, okay, this person that said this, first of all, maybe primary school or something, I had to sit there and go, that person's opinion of me is not actually true. It's actually not true. But that's just their opinion of me. They don't know what's inside me. They don't know the things I'm going to go through in life. They do not know the things that I'm going to be passionate about. And so therefore, you sit there and you're like, okay, that belief that I have about myself, not true. There, that belief's gone. Like, then I'm starting to self-believe. I'm starting to understand that what someone else thinks of me is not actually about me. Like, only I know the true potential of me. So for anyone to ever tell you otherwise, guys, if you're listening to this, any teacher that has ever told you, or any adult, any friend, because when you're younger as well, like, friends tell you, like, you know, you can't sit here. It's actually not, it's not even their fault. It's not even the teacher's fault in this opinion. It's just like how they were raised and how they were conditioned, and they're just, you know, they're doing the best that they can as well. So these beliefs, yeah, don't ever let anyone tell you, like, how you can be.
So yeah, I went through all the appropriate steps there. So I was clear on what I wanted. I asked the universe. I waited for the signs to tell me like what to do in order to gain the money or whatever it was that I needed. And then I aligned myself by giving myself self-belief and understanding that like I do deserve the things that I desire. And then so I priced my projects appropriately, and I wrote a check for myself the day of any of my launches. And yeah, every single check I've ever wrote to myself has came, and like it's literally in my journal, like I checked myself and they all came, which is pretty cool. So I went through all the steps appropriately.
So yeah, self-belief is a big part of it. So if you don't believe that you deserve, like let's just say a millionaire, do you actually think you deserve that? And if not, what beliefs have ever stopped you? Then you have to go through all this stuff. So that's the shadow work that needs to be done, unfortunately. Next up on the list is aligning yourself with your vibration, like raising your vibration. And I'll tell you, when everything started manifesting for me so fast was when I realized that I needed nothing. Like I needed nothing to be happy because my vibration was high and I was grateful for every single thing that I had in my life. So I was living in a hut in Thailand. I had no money. I was living on like a $5 a week, and I had a book. I was reading my book, and at that point I was like, if all else fails in life, I will be happy, because right now, right here, I have my mindset. It's forever growing. I am grateful for where I am, and all I need is this book. I don't even need the book. I was self-developing, but like at that point where I knew I needed nothing, that is when I started attracting everything. So they always say that. They say like the person that needs nothing attracts everything, and I couldn't agree more, because at that point it's the fact that like you don't need nothing, so you are not thinking in the lack. You're not thinking like, okay, I need this job to be happy, I need this marriage to be happy, I needed nothing. And that's when all the magic just started to happen. So then that's basically like when you're aligned whenever you're so super grateful for what you have in front of you. And that's why gratitude in your journal is the most important? I don't know. They all, you need them all. So gratitude and aligning and having a good vibration is next up. So you need to be completely grateful for what you have, and you need to be, even for what you past have, you can start reframing the events of your life by saying, okay, that breakup happened because I needed a heartbreak to be in my purpose. That dengue fever happened because I needed to slow down. Like all these things, you start reframing and being really grateful for even the bad. No, I don't try to label them, all the experiences you have in life. And once you are so grateful for all the things that you've had in life, then all these things start coming to you. Like they just come in. And like the fact that like, so say for example, I manifest becoming a millionaire. The fact that I don't need to be a millionaire to be happy is a really important part. The fact that you just manifest it and you just put it out there, and you're like, you know what, if it comes, whatever. Okay, so like you don't need, so like you, once you manifest something, like manifest your dream house, and then align yourself with gratitude and good vibration and just being in the present moment, then the signs will come, and then obviously self-belief, and then it will come. Another part of alignment is understanding karmic energy and responsible choice. So there is a technique in the Seed of the Soul, the book, I will leave it in the bio thing as well down below. So it tells you that you are literally responsible for your own life. So every time you feel resentment, jealousy, negativity, and you're not learning from it, these things will come back to you. And you have to take the responsible choice to choose better. Because like life is all about learning and evolving and stuff like that. So what I want you to say is, even if you don't believe any of this, right? Just let's say that you are responsible for your karmic energy. So whatever you do happens back to you. Just try it, because that was what I did at the start. I just tried the whole like be better, and I had to like uncover all these things about me that I did wrong, and then I had to forgive myself, and then I had to be better. And it's okay to be better, and it's okay to forgive yourself from past mistakes. So responsible choice is the fact that you are responsible for your own karmic energy. So like, for example, like I tip I'm the biggest tipper. Jack always thinks I'm absolutely buck mad when I tip. It's hilarious, and it's just the way that I don't know, I just like, it's something that makes me feel really good. I love to give, and that's just the way it is. And tipping is something personal to me as well, because I was a waitress all my entire life, and there was times I was really struggling, and the tips really got me through. So even the feeling of giving, it actually is like what makes you happy, and the giving in itself can be enough to bring you the joy and happiness that you've been seeking. So I just advise like giving it a go. Such a good technique to actually think, okay, every choice I am responsible for, and it will be my karmic energy. And watch how your world just becomes like a different world, like everything just changes. And I can't wait for you to experience it if this is the first time you're understanding it, or the first time you're going to put it into place. Like when you give out the manifest that you want, then your focus is to then feel good, and then remove all resistance to what's going on. So if you're feeling bad, or you're feeling like you need something else, or you want something else, you need something else to be happy, that's what you need to work on. You need to work on just being content and happy with that moment. And then like all these things will happen, but only if you're happy with what you have. So yeah, and then like the signs coming in. So once then that you align yourself with the good vibration, also things that raise your vibration, giving to charity. If anyone wants to give to charity, there's plenty of charities out there. Giving to other people. So say someone in your line of work, competitor, give them business. Just give. Watch how good you feel. It will just allow you. There's another thing, love and kindness meditation. Any sort of meditation that produces love. I do them all in my meditation course that's coming out soon. Plugging my own thing there, but it's not ready yet. Like when you have jealousy, resentment for other people, that is arising in you to heal, and you need to start doing love and kindness meditation. Like for example, if someone is a troll or something, they give me so much shit or whatever, what I do then is I can feel angry. And I'm allowed to feel angry, but I also wish them so well. I don't wish any harm on them. I will go into my meditation and I will imagine giving them loving energy. And if that's not alignment, I don't know, because like someone is giving me hate and I just know that they need awareness. So I just give them love and awareness, like in my meditation. I don't know if they'll ever find it, but at the end of the day, like I'm aligned because I'm just giving out good energy, and I'm not taking on jealousy and say someone in your line of work, you're jealous. Like, let's just say one of my, like a younger girl gets like a really good deal, right? Like I could be angry, or I could have resentment for that person. Like, oh, why is she getting it? She's younger than me, like blah, blah, blah. And then I could just imagine, this is another exercise I do. I imagine being in that person's shoes, and they got that deal, and they got that email, and they are buzzing their tits off, and they are running around the room just like I do every time I get a good deal. And they get to support their family. They get to if they've got kids, spoil their kids. They get to take their family, like they just get to just be in that space. And like, instead of resentment, I look at them, I think of pure joy, and I imagine being that person. And that's such a good way to align yourself as well. So basically, like, you manifest, and then you need to just feel, your job is to then feel good. So you do everything in your power to feel good. You meditate, you yoga, you join clubs, you just do stuff, and you do everything to feel good. And then once you feel good and you feel accepting and deserving, then it's time to surrender. Surrendering is the hardest part of all for everyone, because when you do something, like say you just say, I want to be happy, or I want my career to be purposeful, then you have to know that the universe has done it. Like, it is done. But now you need to surrender to the fact that it's happening, because Anything that's not surrendering is resisting, and resisting just stops manifesting all the time. So if you're like, oh my God, why don't I have this? You have to be like, no, it's happening. It's done. And if it's not done and it's not happening, I'm missing out the signs. So you have to completely surrender to what is happening. And because what am I talking about? The resisting is what causes the anxiety and the pain. And this makes you so unattractive. No, what do you call that? Like, it makes you like an opposite of a magnet. Like, I think in the book, The Super Attractor, Gabby Bernstein talks about her resistance to having a baby. She really wanted a baby, and she was like trying to let the universe, and she was trying to surrender, but she was like, oh my God, why don't I have a baby? Why don't I have a baby? And like, that is her resisting what is, when in fact the universe had a plan all along. She may not have been ready for that baby. She may have been in a different place, but she had to surrender to the fact that it was coming. Like, there's so many success stories on pregnancy when it comes to stuff like this. If you go on to like Marissa Peer as well, she is on YouTube and she does like fertility and manifesting sort of stuff, and she is brilliant. And the amount of success stories that I've heard, people in my inbox tell me thank you for even saying her name, because they could not get pregnant for years, and then as soon as they started the brain work with like the surrendering work with Marissa Peer, they just like lit up and they just got pregnant. So that's just like, you know what I mean? But you can take it with a pinch of salt. You can say like, oh, that just happened out of chance and blah blah blah. But like, if you don't, the people that don't believe in magic never see it. So like, you need to believe in it, and if you don't believe in it, then that's okay. Like, do whatever you need to do, like just live your life or whatever. But like, if you believe in it, you can just be calm. Like, there's so many things I've manifested. Like, first of all, when I first started my first manifesting book, I visualized myself in a My Protein outfit behind a bar taking photos for like a brand ambassadorship. And I remember thinking at the same time, being like, no, like I don't know about this. But anyway, and I also had the book Awaken, the Giant Within, that has all my goals that I wrote. But anyway, I manifested that definitely like, and then I had to like, I manifested, then I had to like align my values and goals to do all that stuff. And then like, I all I wanted to be at that time was a fitness influencer. I wanted to be an influencer, but now I want to be something different. Like, it takes you on these paths, and then as soon as you get it, you're like, okay, that's a different message than I actually was supposed to get. But anyway, so I started manifesting when I didn't even know it. So I was reading the book Awaken, the Giant Within, and it's basically like this whole book to just awaken your soul and find out who you are. And I've talked about it many times, it's my Bible, but there was so many goals I had wrote down, and basically he said something, and it said, really, really, really write the goals that you think that, like, limited goals creates limited lives. And that really stuck with me, because I was just like, even when I was writing down the goals in this book, I didn't believe them. And then I worked on the belief, but I wrote down these goals in the book Awaken, the Giant Within about 3 years ago, and I read the book, right? So I go back and look at it, and I'm like, I have achieved every single one of these goals, plus more, plus double some of them. Like, literally, like, I remember writing like how much I would want for this and how much money, and he makes you be really I can't say the word either, specific about like how many years it's going to take to you. I remember writing like, I want to work for myself, and I wrote 4 years. I give myself 4 years, because I was like, I didn't really believe it. I really, really didn't believe that I could work for myself and that I could make money and that I had financial freedom. And I wrote all these things, like random stuff, like, you know, this much money for a post, this much money for a partnership. I wrote having my own business. I wrote, then you have to write like your material goals. So you have to write like, you know, beach house, car, like all those kind of stuff. And then you have to write career goals and why you want the career. And then you have to write, like, you just have to write all this stuff. And I remember being like, as if I'm going to get this, but like, he was just like, just go for it. Like, as if money's no object, as if nothing is no object, write it down. And I just wrote down all this stuff, and I didn't believe it. And then obviously I did all the inner shadow work coming up to it, and now like I've achieved every single one of them. I think there's the odd one that maybe not, like I always said I want to be on the front of Women's Health, but then that goal changed for me. You can just write the goal and you can change it if you want. So like, I don't want to be in the front of Women's Health, because like, you know, rock hard abs doesn't actually symbolize health. So like, you learn all these things and you can change your goals. It's not a big deal as long as you just write whatever you want. Like, just write what exactly you want. Like, do not limit your goal, just go for it, and then like figure it out after. And then your brain actually just gets you ready and then starts giving you all these signals and signs. Like, an example of something was, I remember my friend, she was like, oh, I want to manifest my dream house, and it was a lot of money. And like, my friend smokes a lot of cigarettes, and she said to me one week, she was like, should I stop smoking? I'm like, the fact that that has arisen in your body, that emotion has risen in your body, is a sign that if you want what you have, the universe has give you the answer there in your emotions. You've never thought about quitting in your entire life ever until this moment, because sorry, we squirrels going past. It's probably a sign. Anyone looking for a sign of a squirrel? There's a squirrel right in front of me. So there was a sign, and it's her job then to take that. Like, should I quit smoking to get my dream house, or should I just decline what the universe has given me? So yeah, you have to look out for all these signs, and you have to think about, even like if you're manifesting something like a good body, a dream body, or whatever the hell you want, it doesn't just come. Like, it arises in your emotions. If you've actually set a goal to have to be your best in performance in the gym or whatever, and you walk past the gym, what emotion arises? If you're not going into that gym and you walk past it, there's guilt. And guilt arises because you actually set a goal, and that emotion is guiding you.
And just think of someone who doesn't go to the gym, or who doesn't have any goals in the gym, like, they won't feel the same emotions as us because it's not what their desire was. So your emotions are there to guide you.
Okay, more signs for you. I was watching someone the other day, and they were starting to really hate their job. Think of how accepting people are of their jobs. But if you ask for something more from the universe, you're in your normal job and you're like, oh, I want purpose, I want this dream house, right? Whatever, all the stuff, you're asking for the stuff. Then you're in your job and you're getting a twinge, like, oh, I don't feel right doing this. I don't like this. I don't really want to go to work. You didn't feel like that a few months ago, before you asked for what you wanted. You're feeling like it now because the emotions are arising in you to guide you to where you need to be to achieve the goal that you've set for yourself. So let's just say you've your dream house, or your money, or whatever. Then the universe just fixes itself in opportunities and emotions, and you're going to start feeling like shitty. You're going to feel probably like midlife crisis, like anxious about going to work. Never felt like that before. Never felt like that first few years. But that's what the emotions bringing you. Your emotions are taking you to the manifest. And that's what you have to realize, that like your emotions. So if you feel anxious, you feel like you just be like, okay, why? There is signs, and sometimes we just ignore them, but they'll still keep knocking, because you asked for it, and the universe always delivers. Okay, so the next thing this is such a long podcast, and I haven't even stopped to have a break. I haven't stopped to have a freaking breath. The next thing I want to talk about is putting energy behind your manifest. It does not mean, like, it doesn't work in terms of like, I want to be rich. I want money. Why do you want money? There has to be a good reason behind why. Imagine you were struggling as a kid growing up, your mum and dad struggled. Having that money and that freedom, like, for your kids would be an amazing feeling. And you start thinking about that rather than the money, and it puts all this energy behind your work and your logic and everything.
I have different energies behind different goals. Money was a really hard one for me because I was never really money driven, because I always thought, like, I have my internal, I don't need anything external. But then when I started to have this goal to have the Saigal Sanctuary, which is shops all over the place that people offer free walk-in therapy. So things like this obviously have money, but I felt like I was on this earth to produce this for the people. So all the stuff I do now, all the stuff I do for work now, is all going into like a savings to get the Saigal Sanctuary. So the Saigal Sanctuary is like just what I wanted to be a place where girls can go to make friends. Like, I was in a really lost place in Sydney when I had no friends, and this really would help me. And I just think, like, I want to build something that would have helped me in the time where I was feeling low. So like, that is the energy behind my money goals, because like nothing else was even really driving me.
So that's just one. I actually get things out of people, and this is like something that I'm good at. So let's just say, no, this is a true story. So my friend is an actress. She gets the door slammed on her all the time, you know what I mean, like with like all those like actresses always get turned down or rejection and stuff like that. But like for you to pursue the goal ferociously, like you need to have a good why behind you, especially with like, that's why it works for me. Like, do you think that I would keep going if I didn't have my why? Like, do you know what I mean? Because I get so much negativity, I get so much stuff, and I have my why. What is my why? We'll go back to the actress in a minute. What is my why? So my why becomes from Maddie, is a friend of mine that died when we were in our 20s. He died of suicide, and he's in my thoughts every single day. Every single time you see me with passion talking on my Instagram, it's about him, because I'm speaking to him. I want someone to have tools. I want someone to know what's going on in their head. I want someone to understand their emotions instead of thinking this is the better option. Do you know what I mean? So I speak like that because there's so much passion behind it, and like I needed that passion and that purpose behind it, because I get so much negativity for doing what I do. So like and there's so much boring stuff that you have to do, like, you know, like accounts, and like, you know, you have to answer all the messages and do all the stuff that like you could just lose hope on. But like when you have that ferocious, I don't even know if that's the right word, that why behind you, it is so much easier to like pull through. And also another why of mine, which is, first of all, this, you'll notice this in yourself, you might notice that it comes from your own experience. Now, I obviously I'm a relationship writer. I write about relationships, and I do everything in my power to get the tools to deal with heartbreak, because I was in a place where I did not want to be on this earth after heartbreak. I just had nowhere to turn to. I just felt like I had no tools. I didn't even know what was going on in my own head. And I speak to my own younger self every single day, because I'm like, I do not want anyone to be in that position where they don't want to be on this earth. So that was the key driver behind everything in me, and then me and Maddie as well. Like it's just one big massive why that like drives me forward in work. So yeah, back to the actress. So she needs power. If she wants to manifest, she needs a good why. And I goes, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be an actress? And she says, I just like the creativity of it all. And I was like, nah, you get your like rejections every single day. We need more to the why. This is how. So she grew up in a household where there wasn't much intimacy and love between parents, and she watched the Titanic, and in the Titanic she's seen real love. And she needed to see that real love in order to believe in love. And to this day, she wants to show people through acting that there's other ways of living rather than the one that you're. So like, can you imagine how easy it would be for her to get a door slammed in her face? Because she's like, no, I want people to believe in love. I want people to feel these emotions. So yeah, that's another why. I do it all the time. I get people's real whys out of them. I did it with Ed the other day. Ed was like, I was like, how much, like we were talking like podcast goal, like why do you want this many people watching the podcast? It's like, oh, I just think it'd be really cool. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. You're not going to manifest it with not a good, solid why behind it and a good energy behind it. And he was like, I just want everyone to read books. And bear in mind, I'm sitting here knowing what I'm trying to get out of him. I know that he wants to speak to his younger self. Because he was in a bad place, and he wanted. That's what the why was. But he was like, oh, I don't know. I just want, like, I think it'd be cool if I had this many downloads and people have read. I'm like, well, why do you want people to read? Like, and he said he does. It took me ages, and he's like, yeah, because it really helps me. And I'm like, yeah, because you were in a dark place, and those words on that paper helped you through a dark place. So now your audience is now you. You're now speaking to the person that was really lost, and then like this energy becomes behind it. And guess what he did? He actually messaged me and was like, all that stuff all those goals that I did with you are done. And I was like, yeah, because you have a good why behind it. I'm going to answer your questions. Guys, I'm so excited to answer because I just feel like I'm just ready to take this on. So someone says, is it possible to visualize or to like manifest love? Like I've been shouting it from the rooftops and it's not happening. So manifesting love. Now this was one of the first things that I manifested, okay? So when I broke up, when I had that horrible breakup, I was in Thailand and I went to a temple, and you ask for a wish when you, for me it was a way of manifesting. Anyway, I went there and I just want love. At that time, like I was such an anxious attachment type that I needed love to feel love. So there's me being like, okay, I want to manifest love, a partner. And then like there's a year down the line, I'm like, where is this love? And that's me resisting by going, where is this love? Where is this love? When in fact, love was on its way. I just needed to go through other relationships to feel the intense love that I feel now. So I had 2 relationships in the midst of thinking that the universe was giving me love. So the first one taught me that I can't really be with an anxious attachment. It just taught me so much lessons and like what I don't want and what I need in a relationship for it to work. So that was the one relationship. I still didn't really know what was going on. Then I had another relationship. These are brief relationships because I was traveling and I'm an avoidant, and I was like avoiding love at the same time. First of all, I didn't actually believe that I deserved love as well, like at the same time. So I had to go through all this. And then because I was only wanting love to feel loved, like I didn't understand that I could love myself and then it would happen. But yeah, so then the second relationship before was the first time I felt secure, and that felt like the first time that I could actually be in a relationship and have the same love as I had with an ex, because every time I went with someone I just compared them and compared, and he was the first person that made me think otherwise. And although that didn't work out, it was the first time in my life that I believed that I could fall in love that deep again. And that's when Jack came along. So Jack had the secure attachment type, he had it, and I was like, so like those relationships, I could have screamed and been like, the universe, why are you not giving me love? But in fact, it was teaching me how to love not only myself, but to love Jack. And that's like the universe delivered. Yeah, it might have been a little late, but I needed all those lessons to fully feel the love in which I deserve. Okay, someone's like, I should have talked about this before, but somebody said, how do you find, like, basically, do you just keep visualizing it over and over again? Your job is to manifest it, ask for the universe, and then align, feel good, become a good person in the meantime. Like, you don't just visualize over and over. Yeah, every so often you can do a visualization manifest. I do it pretty, not often, but every few months I will do like a manifest, but I won't manifest the same thing twice. Like I don't just, my brain has already prepared me for it, and I believe it's going to happen. So like once you manifest it, you just leave it, and that's it. I don't even vision board. I don't do nothing, because I know and I trust the universe that it's going to happen. And if it happens in a weird fucked up way, it's going to happen either way, as long as I read the signs, read the emotions, and take the course. So yeah, you just, like, I don't know, like other people do it differently and they visualize every day. I just visualize that once and then I'm like, yeah, it's going to happen. I just believe it. So maybe you just have to keep visualizing until you believe it. Also, when you're in a visualization meditation, you're so aligned, because you actually, your brain, you're so happy that like you're in this and you feel good and aligned. So they are good, but that's just like my advice. So the next question is, how long did it take to receive? Now, the first time I ever did it, it took me a long time. I'll never forget my first manifestation. I used to always manifest me living by the beach in like this apartment and looking over like this amazing beach. And I was sitting in Australia one day and I was like, whoa, I'm here. Like, I'm actually here. Like, this is crazy. It took me a long time to believe that I deserved that. But see now, like, I manifested a big business goal, but I truly believe that I'm going to get that. And I feel like it's just true. Like, I just feel like I can do it because I deserve it. And
there's really good intent behind my goals. Like, there's no malicious greed or anything like that. Like, I want to get business goals so I can produce what I'm meant to be here for, like my cycle sanctuary, just more programs for people to help. Like, there's good intent behind it. That's what I mean. Like, once you know, and plus once you start getting your manifest, you believe it even more, and then it just heightens it. A way to get things faster is to look at other people, role models in your area, or some, like, say something that you want. Look at other people and think, they have it, therefore it can happen, so why can't it happen to me? So role models is really important to play, especially like even Siobhan, you all know Siobhan was my role model. She quit her job and like lived this financial freedom life, and I didn't believe I had it until I seen someone else
just doing the exact same thing. And like you guys know that I never got any financial support. I never had any money. I literally, like 2 years ago to this day, I'm looking at my time hop the other day, and I was in Bali, and I had like £400 in my bank account or something like that. I don't know, £400 or £500. So I didn't just randomly get money, or didn't come out of nowhere. So you can now take me as a role model and say like, okay, so if she can do it, why can't I do it? And then there's other people that are like, oh, well, Sinead got where she wants because she's pretty. But I'm like, why don't you look at other people that you don't find as pretty and see that they've done it? Like, it's so weird how people will just portray, like, the way they react in resentment and jealousy is because it's a desire that they wanted, and they just don't think they can achieve it. So like they act out in jealousy. That's another podcast for next week. So someone was like, can you manifest a man? Like, everyone has their own opinions on this, but I don't think you can like mess with someone else's will. So in the book, Seed of the Soul, it says you cannot prey upon someone whose well-being is in your heart. So basically, like, you can't prey on someone else. But what you can do is you can write down in your goals book or your journal book and be like, what do I deserve and what do I want in a partner? What are the qualities that I want in a partner? And then you can just write them down, and then you can just leave it up. I always put them to the left of the side of my brain, and I just throw them up into the universe and just let them deal with it, and then it'll give me all the lessons and everything that I need. So yeah, like, I don't think you can you can't like manifest. You can't be like your ex and be like, oh, I want him back, I want him back, I want him back. Do you know what I mean? Like, because that's someone else's journey, not yours to mess with. But like, you can attract what you deserve. So someone was like, I'm conflicted. If I am not meant to care about possessions, then how do I manifest them? This is something that I struggled with as well. Like, I was just like, I don't really care about anything. Like, I don't need like a fancy car, fancy house and all this stuff. Like, it was weird that I was just like, and I never actually manifested money. I manifested financial freedom, but you must realize that it's not the money and the things that you're manifesting, it's the freedom. So it's the freedom. Like, for me, it definitely was just the financial freedom. Like, you don't care about I don't, do you know what I mean? But then when all this stuff comes and all the freedom comes, you realize that you can buy those things if you really want. Like, it's weird, like, having the money mindset. Like, I was always like, I would never buy designer, never buy anything. Like, it wasn't really in my interest because it wasn't my core value. But like, and things like first class, like, I never cared about that. I remember my friend Gaz telling me how much he paid for it, and I was like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, you're actually an idiot, like, what you could be buying with that. But it's weird. It's hard, like, it is hard to describe this, but first class was one of the last things that I bought, in terms of, like, I never saved up and got first class. First class came after a list of things that I had to achieve. First of all, I had to achieve a certain amount of money that I went to charity. Second of all, I needed to have just freedom. I also wanted to pay for my mum and dad's a few things for them and their holidays. So I was like, okay, if I have money left over and it's like money going, then I will do it, because at the end of the day, I do enjoy luxury things as well. But at the same time, it was like the last thing that I like had on my list. It was like, oh, okay, I can afford this because, you know, I deserve it. It was a weird transition for me, because I actually remember looking at people and being like, oh, but like, that was my embedded belief that like, oh, like, showing off. But in fact, like, I actually had the money to travel like that, and, you know, it didn't cause me any financial strain by like they always say this about money. People, they say that hold on, I'm going to get the quote. So it was, rich people buy luxuries last, while the poor middle class tend to buy luxuries first. This is from a book. I don't know. I just read this the other day, and I was like, it's so true. Like, I never saved up. It was something that I was like, oh, this is pretty cool that I could do this. It's pretty cool. But it wasn't something that I was like, I need this to be happy. Like, first class was such a revelation for me as well, because you probably read my article about traveling first class. I was like, I was just as happy as in economy. Yeah, I'm a little more comfortable, but like, I didn't need this first class flight to be happy or to feel like I had success. I was on this first class flight because like I could afford it at that time, and I wanted to try it, and I wanted the luxury travel. I wanted to try it, and I didn't need it. I didn't need to prove. And like, it's weird because I was ashamed of it. Like, you'll not see any pictures. Like, I didn't put up a post being like, I achieved first class. Like, I was like, this belief in me that like, oh my God, like showing off, like wise up, blah, blah, blah. But like, in fact, like I deserved it because I actually really worked hard. Like, I have 3 businesses, three and a sole trader, but like I work so hard and every single day better myself to help other people. So like, to think that I didn't deserve it was like, and it's sometimes even hard for me to say that, like, and I actually reject it a wee bit. But yeah, once you believe that you can deserve it, then yeah, that's a good question. Actually, let's just take a lesson from this, because this is something I had to learn the hard way as well. Let's just say you felt resentment, or you felt jealousy, or you felt anything when I said like first class or anything like that. Like, this is the things that arose in me when I watched other people like be successful and have their like big things and like they're just success. And then if you actually feel resentment or you feel any sort of jealousy, that's a low vibration emotion. So therefore you're going at a low vibration, and then like, how are you going to manifest if you're like vibrating that low? So always think, when you're about to judge someone, judgment, resentment, jealousy, all these things are low vibrational emotions, and they're there to teach you a lesson. And if you don't take the lesson, you're just going to live in that low vibration. So instead of thinking, oh, look at her showing off and blah, 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 you could actually just take inspiration and be like, well, if she can do that, why can't I do that? So every time you, like, if you're feeling jealousy, you could take inspiration, you could just change the emotion. As soon as you feel joy for another person, you're automatically raising your vibration in order to receive what you've manifested. So stop living at that low vibrational mode and thinking, yeah, like, oh, look at her, blah, blah, blah. When in fact, like, take inspiration, and this is when you begin to manifest. You know what? This is actually a really good question. Someone was like, is it not dangerous? Like, how can you manifest like not paying tax? And I'm like, not paying tax is a low vibration, because you're actually taking money away from the people that need it in your country. So how can that align with the universe? Because how can that align with love? Like, you have to act with love and goodwill in order for it to work. Like, you can't just be like, oh, like, I'm going to not pay tax because I manifested it. Like, your vibration is low because your intent is not with love. Another question people would ask is like, well, how come bad people who do bad things get rich, you know, and they've did it in a bad way? How does that explain if it has to do with content? I'm like, that person probably has a lot of money and isn't even happy with that money. They want more and more and more. That's what greed is. Like, do you know what I mean? That person's not happy. They want more and more. So that's sort of the difference. So that's usually a person who is seeking happiness through external sources, whilst what we're trying to do here is we're trying to find happiness within internal sources, so that like we're always happy with what we have. And this is just my opinion on it, but I believe people get all this stuff and are still unhappy, and I feel like it's a sign from the universe. But like, here's all the stuff that you think that would be happy, but just to let you know, it doesn't actually make you happy. So now it's time to change, and then it just depends on them if they change. So like, they're given all the stuff to try and look inner, but yet they just keep looking for external sources of happiness. And I feel like the universe trying to teach them a lesson, but they just don't get it sometimes. But yeah. Someone was like, can you manifest your passion? As in, can you discover it quicker? But like, then you're not surrendering everything that's put in your path. You must realize that like, it's put in your path to bring you to where you are. So everything that's put in my path, like, I'm 28 now. I'm still discovering loads of different things. Like, at the start, I asked and wanted to be one thing, but now I've ended up another thing, because all these experiences keep happening to me that like align me with what I'm here to do. So yeah, you just have to you can ask for your purpose and wait for the signs, and you have to trust the divine timing. Someone was like, okay, so if you've got the self-belief, you believe it's going to happen, how do you not get disheartened waiting? And you being disheartened waiting is already resistance, so you need to remove the resistance. So you need to be like, look, this might take longer, this may take 5 years, this may take 10 years, but I need to understand and surrender to what is going to happen, because I've already asked for it and it is done. Someone was like, how do you manifest with intent? And like, intent is such an important part of it. As I said before, like the intention has to be good and love. Like you can't just be like, I want to manifest like this person getting hurt. Like it doesn't work like that, because how can you manifest if you're in such a low vibration? And that's just really bad intent, so it's not going to work. So it has to be like, the intent has to be from your soul, from the love, and there has to be energy behind it to like prove that like that is what you want and need, or that's what you're meant to have, or do you know what I mean? Okay, next question is, should I manifest materialistic things? We spoke about this before, but it's hard to understand, but there sort of has to be an intent behind it, really. Like you can't just be like I could say I want this much money. I'm like, what's my intent behind it? First of all, freedom. Second of all, like my family. Like there has to be such good intent.
Like I just don't want to manifest money because I want it will make me happy, and that's just sort of greed. I want to manifest money because I'm here in this earth to help people, and the more I make, the more I can give, and the more freedom I have. It's just, you know, like my cycle sanctuary is something that I dream of, and it will help people, and it's my purpose, and that's what I was here to do. So that's sort of the intent behind money, really.
People are asking what books to start the journey. So my first journey was Asking It Is Given. It's a spiritual version, but it just tells you everything. So Asking It Is Given is by Esther Hicks, who actually, Rhonda Byrne is the author of Secret, and I'm pretty sure she studied under Esther Hicks, so you're probably better going for Asking It Is Given. There's The Seed of the Soul, I just finished. It really explains things a lot better by karmic energy and stuff. Like it really, like basically it's just like you create your own reality with your actions and your responsible choice. Like you choose to do the good thing and you will be rewarded with goods. And it just makes sense, because I can't explain how effective it is to just actually adjust your karmic energy and be a good person and do everything that aligns you with source and soul and what aligns you with good. And when you are trying to align, you'll start recognizing when you aren't aligned. So that's when you're like, oh my God, where did that emotion, jealousy, arise from? Like, where did that come from? And you start to recognize it, and then you're like, right, okay, how can I change this into good karmic energy, and how can I change this into like a higher vibration? And that's when it all begins. Next question is, what is the difference between manifesting and affirmations? So manifesting is like when you give something to the universe and you do all the steps, but affirmations is like telling your brain that you're good enough. For example, you'd be like, I am good enough, I am worthy. So you're actually training your brain, you're taking your brain away from negative emotions. So sometimes in our brains we'll say negative things about ourselves if we look in the mirror, but if we change it to an affirmation of I love myself, your body and brain will start adjusting to that emotion and that thought, and it will start rewarding you better. Another thing that somebody said, or in The Seed of the Soul, he says, people who are unkind to themselves. And that really embedded me, because it's so true. Like, the people that are unkind are probably so nasty to their own selves. My self-talk was so like, see, when I got a grip of my awareness, I was like, I can't believe I speak to myself like this. It's disgusting. It would have shocked you what I would say to myself, and then I had the awareness. But see, now once I'm kind to myself, like, I'm just not unkind to anyone. Like, I just think, like, why would I be unkind or mouth or bitch or anything like that? Which brings me to the other point of, like, you know, like when trolls and stuff, people are like, how do you deal with it? And I'm like, well, they're making their own karmic energy. Like, them bitching and trolling and gossiping, they're creating their own reality. So, like, what else can I say? Like, you know, when they create their own, I wish them awareness, and I wish they can create a better reality for themselves. They chose to do that. So then, like, and then these are the people who are like, oh my God, why me? And they don't have enough money, or they never have anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're always complaining. These are the same people. But, like, if you actually change your vibration to be grateful and to be happy for people, you will notice, like, all these good things happening to you. So that's a good way to look at people who are being negative towards you. Just be like, they've chose their path, and you just got to let their path choose them. Okay, so to finish up, let's just go through the steps again. You need to get clear on what you want. Oh yeah, I forgot really to say that you really need to figure out what you want. But then Yeah, like, so that's what reading comes into, because you start realizing what you want. Yeah, so you need to get really clear on what you want. And if you don't know what you want and what your values are, I suggest finding out what's important to you. Like, do you know the difference in what's important to you? Like, do you value love, commitment, freedom, security? You need to figure that out, and then you can do that in the book Awaken the Giant Within as well. That's a very good book for that. And this is what my meditation course teaches you as well. Like, it gets to really know yourself, and when you really know yourself, then you can start manifesting. But once again, plugging myself, but it's not out yet. So you get clear on what you want, ask the universe for it, you take action, help the universe make it happen. So like, you start listening to your emotions, stuff like that. You trust the process. This is when you surrender, and then you acknowledge what is being sent to you along the way. So you're like grateful for everything. You start reframing past events and think that they're meant to be there for a reason. And then you increase your vibration. So you increase your vibration by like being grateful, giving out good, doing all this stuff that like gives you good energy. And then number 7 is you just clear all your resistance. So if you have any part of resistance that being like, I need this to be happy, or why have I not got this? That's resistance. That needs to be cleared, and you need to be more grateful for what you have right in front of you. Oh my God, I can't breathe. That actually was the longest time I've ever spoke without pausing. So I'm sweating my tits off because I have to do this without the aircon, because you hear it in the background. All I want to say is, guys, if you like this podcast, please tag me, please give me a good review, and please subscribe, and let's manifest together. And let me know any of your manifesting stories by tagging me. Good night and God bless.